This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Two simple things. Maybe you got an idea for a website or a business, a YouTube channel, podcast, something like that knocking around in your minds. Well, you're like, well, should I do this? Well, the only way to find out whether it's worth doing is to get it out into the world. And that can be daunting because it's scary to pursue new things, but not knowing how to set up a website is not an excuse. There are no excuses available with Squarespace. Squarespace allows you to create a powerful website for whatever you're up to. You want to sell something online? Yes, easy to set up a store with Squarespace. Or a podcast? Yes, also supported. Maybe you're starting a YouTube channel. Well, obviously you do that on YouTube, but you'll want a website to complement it. It all starts on Squarespace with a beautiful template that you customize to your heart's content, or start from scratch, or move over from an existing domain. Very easy to manage. And once you've customized it, which is very easy, there's no nonsense that you have to deal with. There's no updates, there's no patches, none of that stuff. Also, Squarespace handles all the website-y stuff, like I said, podcasts, but also social integrations, mailing lists, all that stuff that you're like, should probably have that. Squarespace will get it done. So head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/brainfood to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain, and let's get into it. The portable nuclear weapon, or suitcase nuke, has been a long staple of popular fiction, appearing in dozens of movies, TV shows, and video games, including The Peacemaker, 24, and Battlefield 3. Our fascination with such devices isn't hard to understand, for they are the ultimate expression of our fears of nuclear terrorism. Untraceable, easily concealed, and devastating. But is it actually possible to make a nuclear weapon small enough to fit in a suitcase? And if so, has anyone actually built one? Well, the answer is yes. And yes, but that someone was not some small terrorist, but rather the American government. Introduced in 1961, the Special Atomic Demolition Munition, or SADM, was about as small as it is possible to make a practical nuclear weapon, measuring 14 inches long, 12 inches in diameter, and weighing around 58 pounds. At its heart lay the same W-54 warhead used in the infamous M388 Davy Crockett nuclear recoilless rifle. This was a linear implosion-boosted device with a variable yield, allowing the operator to select an explosive yield anywhere between 10 and 1,000 tons of TNT by varying the amount of tritium gas injected into the core. The development of the W-54 was long and arduous, with 15 prototypes being test-fired at the Nevada test site as part of Operation Hardtack II in 1958 and Operation Little Fella in 1962. This is the largest number of test firings conducted prior to the adoption of any US nuclear weapon, underscoring the difficulties involved in designing a reliable warhead of this size. The SADM was only one of an arsenal of small tactical nuclear weapons developed to counter a potential Soviet ground invasion of Western Europe, a role it shared with the aforementioned Davy Crockett and the British Blue Peacock nuclear landmine. And for more on both of those, you can check out our videos that time the US made a nuclear gun and the chicken-heated nuclear landmine. Unlike those weapons, however, the SADM was designed to be carried to its target by hand. Throughout the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the US Army, Marines, and Navy SEALs assembled special two-man green light teams specially trained in the handling of atomic demolition munitions. In the event of a ground war in Europe, their mission was to infiltrate Eastern Europe and destroy vital infrastructure, such as bridges, roads, dams, airfields, and communications bunkers, in order to halt or slow the Soviet advance. This infiltration could be carried out in a variety of ways, with teams dropping in by parachute or swimming ashore from submarines or high-speed boats, depending on the specific target. One team even trained to ski down into Czechoslovakia from the Austrian Alps. To protect the warhead from damage, the SADM came with a foam-lined fiberglass carrying case which could be strapped to a soldier's back or suspended below a parachutist's harness. For seaborne infiltration or underground use, a special crush-proof container was also developed which could withstand the pressure of 200 feet of water or 100 feet of earth. Once landed, the SADM team would remove the warhead from its carrying case, place it in a special rucksack, and bury the case before setting off toward their target. Given the SADM's small size, there was no room for sophisticated safety mechanisms, so the aiming mechanism was protected by a simple steel plate fitted with a combination lock. As the US military at the time followed the two-man rule whereby no single person could arm a nuclear weapon, each team member was only given half of the combination. However, this created a dangerous liability, for if either team member was killed prematurely, the bomb would become useless. Therefore, according to US Army Captain Tom Davis, who trained to use the SADM in the early 1970s, most teams agreed to share the whole combination in case of actual war. In the event a mission had to be aborted, teams could carry a small amount of conventional explosives to blow up the warhead and prevent its sophisticated design from falling into enemy hands. If the team managed to reach their target, the arming process was extremely simple. After unlocking and removing the cover plate, the soldiers would remove the detonator from its storage compartment and place it in the arming well. They would then set the timer for up to 12 hours delay on the Mod 1 bomb or 24 hours on the Mod 2, flipping the arming switch and, in the words of the great military historians Iron Maiden, run to the hills. While the US government denied that SADM operations were intended to be suicide missions, a host of factors made it extremely unlikely that the green light teams would ever make it home alive. While extremely small for a nuclear weapon, as a piece of infantry equipment, the SADM was extremely unwieldy, with the warhead plus carrying case and harness weighing over 90 pounds. This made it difficult for the SADM teams to move quickly or stealthily and significantly increased the risk of injury. More unnerving still was the fact that the team could never really know just when the bomb would go off. To protect the warhead against electromagnetic pulses from nearby nuclear detonations, Sandia Laboratories fitted the SADM with an entirely mechanical timer, which in testing was found to be so inaccurate it regularly detonated the bomb up to 13 minutes short or long of the set delay, a fact which made getting to the minimum safe distance a bit of a dicey proposition. But the greatest challenge to the team's survival would have been the simple fact of being stranded behind enemy lines, cut off from all means of support at the opening of a nuclear war. Despite government assurances, as former SADM operator Mark Bentley stated in 2019, we all knew it was a one-way mission, a suicide mission. While over 400 W-54 warheads were produced and stationed at forward European bases like Maisau in Germany, none were ever used in combat. By the late 1970s, the concept of a limited winnable nuclear war had become antiquated, with both NATO and the Warsaw Pact realizing that any conventional conflict was likely to escalate into a full-blown global nuclear war. Nonetheless, the SADM teams remained alert and ready to jump into action until 1989, when the W-54 was finally declared obsolete and all stockpiled warheads were recalled and decommissioned. While no miniature nuclear weapons are currently listed in the US nuclear stockpile, the existence of the SADM was only publicly revealed in 1984, a full 2 decades after the weapon's introduction, meaning it is possible such weapons are still kept in inventory. In 1992, Soviet defector and former military intelligence officer Stanislav Lunev claimed that the Soviet Union had developed their own portable nuclear device called the RA-115. He also said that several had been smuggled across the Mexican border and hidden in caches throughout the United States. According to Lunev, these devices were intended to be used to assassinate top US officials in the event of war. These claims, however, have been severely disputed, and despite a thorough search of the areas identified by Lunev, including the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, no such weapons caches have ever been found. We can only hope that Lunev was indeed exaggerating and that suitcase nukes are once again merely the stuff of spy fiction. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out our fantastic sponsor, Squarespace, linked to below. And thank you for watching.